Here we go. Here we go. What is going on, everybody? Community Beacon. It's Friday. We're moving.
Yes, literally moving. Gosh, this is the second
Yeah,
one I've been on that I've had to go. I've had to go on air from somewhere.
we appreciate you having you. We have to make the adjustments. That's kind of what the show is about today. So this
Mm.
talks about adaptability, and since we started this program, we've always been adaptable. We've been able to work with each other in regards to our logistics because we do things. We are active people. So shouts out to everybody. It's Community Beacon. I'm Mike Seville, your humble, gracious host.
Bow, bow, bow,
Um,
bow, bow, bow. The
and
real
of course,
estate king is in the house.
I
Michael
appreciate it.
Seville. Bow, bow,
I
bow.
I wish I could be as enthusiastic with your intro, brother, but it's the brother on the move, the brother that keeps going, my brother from another mother from the Tenacity Foundation, the incomparable Joe Simmons. What is
Yes,
going
sir.
on, brother? You're moving.
Yes. We got a lot of things going on. This weekend's kind of chalk pack. We're going to be working with Christopher Dora and Talina Paris on tomorrow at the FAU studio or
Mhm.
stadium. So if y'all want to come out there and check us out, we got a nice raffle going on to support the young people. We're looking for 300 young people to be a part of the Dream to Lead program that's coming off in January on the 24th and 25th of January. So make sure y'all stay tuned. That's coming to you real soon.
Awesome. All right. Today's the show. We're talking about AQ. The I got it as adaptability quotient. We had it listed as adversity quotient, but it's actually the
Adversity. Hmm.
it's actually the adaptability quotient. And
Yeah.
this one, the quote that we have up here states it measures how well someone can withstand and respond to and it's similar, right? Adversity, challenges, or setbacks, and the adaptability is something similar. You know what I mean? It's just being resilient. It's how do what do we do when we come across challenges or new information, and what do we do? Do we respond the same? I guess that would be a low sense of adaptability or adversity, or do we kind of do we respond in kind? Do we take in this new information and say, okay, where do we go from here? So I'm really excited about this topic specifically because I think this is something that we lack definitely in our community. I think we tend to respond the same way over and over again. I can actually um, an example I would use is actually political. What's going on politically? It's like the same one too. It's almost like it's scripted, and people react in the same kind of way with hopes of a different outcome.
Mm.
But it's the same thing. It's the same one too. There's some kind of political violence. There's some kind of racial upheaval. Something's going on, and then all of a sudden we react out of fear, and then we kind of go back to what it was that we were normally doing, and then the cycle continues. And every 3 to 4 years, we start to see this happen the same time. All of a sudden, the politicians are back in the neighborhood. All of a sudden, the we're having concerts slash political rallies about what kind of change, and then we're fed this hope thing, and we lock into it out of fear and hope, and it goes back to the same thing. So that I would say that kind of is lack of adaptability. It's lack of understanding what our challenges are, and I mean you could actually study this, and this goes back almost 50 to 60 years. That it's just been the same thing here in the land of the free. What about you, brother? What kind of thoughts do you have surrounding adaptability or lack thereof?
I think adaptability really is, I think it's a play on EQ, honestly. I mean, because EQ is divided up into four different sections, right? There's the self, and then there's the social aspect of it. right? And then there's two parts to each part of EQ. So it's two parts to the two parts, giving it four parts, and that's going to be self, is going to be your awareness, and then after that, it's going to be your management, and then it's going to be your social awareness and your social management. So when you start to think about adaptability, I think that that comes down to your ability to manage. It really
Right.
comes down to your ability to manage your emotional quotient, your ability to manage. So I I do understand though that this dives in a little bit deeper to the resiliency and the how do I get back up? How do I continue to move forward? How do I make adjustments? That type of thing. And to take it from a political landscape to a brick and mortar, everyday Joe type of thing. I think it comes down to our relationships, just the bottom line, whether it's the principal thing or it's the non-principal thing. It comes down to our relationships. How well are we dealing with our spouse? How well are we dealing with our children? How well are we dealing with our boss or our employees, our employer, our peers, our community, our churches? Where do we stand right there on a day-to-day basis? And how do we continue to move forward with the things that we believe in?
Yeah. And I agree with you. I definitely think a lot, and a lot of what you just mentioned is how do we manage our emotions throughout this time? Because as we start to even step up to these different quotients that we've using, starting from the IQ, and we've already went over that a couple of weeks ago in regards to our capacity to take on new information and to critically think with that information. And then we stepped it up and we spoke about the EQ, which you broke down having different parts of it. And how do we manage our emotions? Because I don't care how smart you are, if you can't manage your, quote unquote day to day, your spouses, your friends, your employers, your co-workers, your clients, for those of us who have clients, if you can't manage yourself of where you're coming from emotionally, and if you can't manage them, especially with their expectations, then that clouds whatever IQ you have because no one cares about what you know until they know that you care. And and us personally, if we're angry, whether we're angry, we're sad, that affects the outcome as well because we take that into with us. So being able to
100.
efficiently manage our emotions and also understand that what the other person is going through can definitely put the our trajectory or our direction into place. Now herein comes the adaptability quotient where I've always said that if something where life is lifing, you know what I mean? Like things are happening. People, pass away. People don't show up. Um, Nature happens, whether it's hurricanes or whether it's raining or it's sunny or what, like something is happening within your life. Dogs, have emergencies. People have emergencies. So how do we kind of how are we resilient in the way that we think about these different things of how do we continue going towards our purpose? How do we continue moving towards our goals in the midst of these different things happening? Um, Man, I think death is a huge one as well. Because when people pass away, people that you count on in your life, people that you're probably close to, whatever it is that play a part in your life, if they pass away, how do we continue moving on? Do we, some of us may not necessarily move on. Some of us are stuck in what Tony Robbins calls the tunnel. Divorces happen. And you see a lot of people get stuck in what Tony Robbins calls the tunnel, meaning that you don't see any light and you're kind of stuck in that same place. I've seen athletes who have been athletes their entire lives, thought about going pro. Some of them make it, some of them don't. But what we do know is that at some point in time, age is going to catch up. You're no longer athlete. How do you respond to these different things? And I guess we can ask, like, what separates the people who actually excel? Like one person I'm thinking about is Shannon Sharp. I think he's done an awesome job in the transition of it. But there's a lot of, there's probably for every Shannon Sharp, there's 100 athletes that don't get past being an athlete. For example. So how do we approach these different things in regards to this adaptability quotient, taking into account the IQ and the EQ?
I think that's a good question. How do we? I mean, how do we adapt? Right? I, Considering the IQ and the EQ, like, so if we were going to use this as a building structure, this is just my thought process. If we will use this as a building structure, and we will say, okay, listen, I, you know, I've gathered knowledge, I've gathered education. I know right from wrong. I know these types of things. So I've got a fair share of IQ. I got a fair understanding of things and at large. And now we take EQ and we're like, all right, I'm very aware of who I am. I get my surroundings. I have a decent level of discernment, right? And I have a decent level of ability of using my discernment to help my situation. The process of communication and connection. I have a decent level of that. So now, the point of adaptability, it's like, well, where are we headed with that? I think this is the next building block, right?
Yep. Yeah.
It's when I'm able to take whatever the world sends my way, and I'm able to maneuver myself, pivot. I'm
Yeah.
able to make, like the old saying, make lemonade out of lemons. You know, in the sound, which I've been doing a lot more study on it, but it's like tonality. So when I'm addressed, I don't return my words with a negative, a specific type of tone that of anger, frustration, but that I start to work into my.
Uh-oh, the brother's gone. And I kind of was getting. I'm loving the point that he was made in regards to this tonality thing, because we have a way of kind of saying, I'm meeting people with the same energy. You know, I'm returning, I'm returning the same energy that someone's given me. I'm matching their energy. And what I've realized is that people who actually have a high AQ, as what we're talking about, have a high AQ, definitely have a high EQ, or at least recognizing who they are and their emotions and other people's emotions. They really don't match. Successful people do not match energy. Successful people do not match energy. Successful people have their own energy that they bring to the table, and they tend to be unwavering. So it's hard. It's interesting because what it does is it actually repels people with negative energy. So the energy that you bring in, if it's a positive, uplifting, loving, understanding energy, it will repel people who aren't loving, who aren't understanding. And if they're in your presence, they have no choice but to either match your energy, which where you don't want to be. You don't want to have to match someone else's energy. You want to bring your own individual energy into it. And here's the thing: if you do find someone whose energy is there and you want to be that way, like you're like, man, this person has the type of energy and thought process that I want to be a part of, then I too would use I would say I would try to keep them around. Hopefully they keep me around. But and because if it's actually, if it's a genuine energy, and I think that's ultimately we want to be around people with genuine energies. I'm trying to bring the brother back in here because I know he cut off. Let me see what it says. Okay, it's stating something like, okay, he lost the signal. So hopefully it'll come on at some point in time. But I think what the brother's talking about is definitely makes sense. You want to sit. You want to start to let's talk about this the step and let's talk about the steps he spoke about. So we spoke about the intelligent quotient. So this just talks about the capacity for you to understand and learn and take on different information. What's your capacity? How high, how intelligent can we get? And I spoke about that with the model that I like to understand is that we have an already innate type of IQ, and then we can either, as long as it's not super high or super low, then most people can kind of grasp concepts and kind of work with it. Awesome. So then we get into the EQ. The brother spoke that there's four different parts of the EQ, and these are like stepping stones. IQ, let's say you can't change. It is what it is. You can be the best at it. You can go to the highest of your capacity, which is probably more than enough to be a successful, happy, joyful person, whatever it is that you want to be. Then you have the EQ, which I think a lot of us spend a lot of time on or don't spend it at all, which is getting to know yourself initially. And then now you start to figure out how does it your surroundings. So now we start to talk about the decorum, not demure. It's not demure, but we start to talk about decorum. I know me. Now I have to see what the room is like, whether if other people are around. So what's this decorum that we need to do in order to be successful? Let me see if I can add him back on. And then once we get past the decorum and understanding ourselves, which understanding yourself, and remember, none of this stops. It's a lifelong process. There's a lifelong process of knowing you and your relationship with yourself. You're always learning these things. You're always taking on new information and improving. This is for the growth-minded individual. And then working on what we spoke about was the decorum, other people, and in the context of it. Who am I in the context of this place? How can I be my best self within the context of this place? We're always doing that. So the journeys, hopefully you are, the journey is forever. I think the minister spoke about you really don't even understand life in yourself until you turn 70. So if we can say, okay, 70 is the point at which we finally kind of get a grasp on life, we know that we have some learning to do. So this means that we're open to it. And then here's the life is life in part. This is the adaptability quotient. What is life throwing at us? We know as long as we live, things are going to happen. Situations are going to occur. It's life. If it didn't happen, you probably would bore yourself to death. And so it's like, so when these things happen, how do I take it on? Now, some of us, because we don't understand our EQ, we don't understand, or we're not working on our EQ. Some of us, we tend to kind of just repress these things. Oh, it's not happening. These things aren't happening. It's not until it comes to a point where it's like I got to deal with it, which is the position you don't want to be in. That's having a low AQ, right? Like, so because now you might have one way of getting to deal with something, as opposed to if you dealt with it from the beginning, then you might have a better runway. You might have better options. You never want to put yourself into a place where you don't have as many options. So here's a tip in regards to AQ. Start to look at what it is that you have and start to say, okay, widen your scope on it. What are all my options? This can also go into being around the people that have been through it before. This goes to talking to coaches. This goes to people who have been in similar experiences. Hey, how did you handle this? What options do I have? Be careful of people who have a low EQ, who are exhibiting a low IQ, and they tend to project. So they're going to project their situation and their feelings onto you. Maybe you take it into consideration, but you don't take it by law. The brother's back, brother. I'm just kind of speaking about some of the tips that we can do in order to improve our AQ, our way to adapt. With today, the brother texts and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be on the road. How can you?" Because he's been doing all of the descriptions and the titles and etc. Can you do it? And if I can say, I can. There was times when I'm rigid, like, nah, you've been doing it this entire time. You need to give me a longer time to do it. No, you jump into action. That's a part of a high AQ. How quick does it take me to jump into action? How I don't want to use the word compassionate, but how
adaptable is the word.
How adaptable am I to this situation and this time? Like, all of this is what takes you to that next level. Brother, as you cut off, I was saying this adaptability quotient, because once you get not even get past, once you deal with the IQ part of it, once you deal with the EQ part of it, this adaptability part of it is what's going to propel your success, right? Because each situation that you're going through, the context of the situation is going to be different, and you're going to be in a different place based on, versus what everybody has. So how do I adapt to this situation? That Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant study moves all day long for when they got into the situation, but they had to adapt because you don't know what this person is going to do on the other side. You have to. Tom Brady, probably one of the greatest quarterbacks, when he was given a play, but he had carte blanche because they knew when he went up to the line, he was going to look to see what was going on and see how he can adapt. And that's when he starts shouting out to everybody, this. He's doing all these different these audibles at the line because you have to adapt to the situation. Go ahead, brother.
Man, you're right on it. That, so where I was leaving off at and where you are at right now with this conversation, I think is perfect. I think that adaptability is something that's. Let me go here before I go there. What you just said, relationships. I'm going back to relationships.
Yeah.
That adaptability is so important. When you started mentioning Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, I'm telling you, I went straight into sports because pivoting is where it's at. Like every single thing that we have gained, all of the intelligence that we have gained, our emotional intelligence that we have gained, it is all for game day. That's what it's all for game. And every day essentially is game day. If you're alive, it's always game day. So tomorrow's game day, if I make it to see it, it's going to be a greater game day than today is. But until then, today is the greatest game day that I will ever have. So I have to figure out how to make this the best. And I need to be adaptable with inside of my day. I need to be able to pivot because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how my son is going to respond, react, or act. I don't know how my wife is. I don't know how Mike is. I don't know how, I don't even know how I'm going to respond, react, or act when certain situations come up. I don't know exactly yet. I think I know because I've been with myself long enough. And for that matter, I think I know how certain other people will, my wife, my son, because I've been around them long enough and I have a playbook inside of my mind. But it's not for me to think what other people will think. That's not my job. It's not my job to think for them. I can't act for them. I can't respond for them. I can't force anybody to do anything. So that's huge. This pivoting, just like a football player. You study all the plays, you study the moves of the opponent, and when you get out there, when you see something, you pivot.
Yeah.
When you saw it in the video, you thought every single time they did a certain move, they went left. So you went right, being on the opposite side, thinking that they were going to go left, you're going to go right, and you guys are going to be head to head. Well, this time they did that certain move, they go right, and you go right, and y'all split.
Yep.
You can't control those types of things. So what's the next thing? Being adaptable, pivot again. In
Yeah.
the middle of a game, in the middle of the game, you have to make those types of moves so quickly that you don't get a chance to really second guess yourself because the play is over. And so for me being a fireman, it's the same thing. When I get in there and I see the fire straight ahead, then I'm moving forward down the hallway. I'm putting pressure on that fire with my fire string, with my hose string, and then my partner taps me on the shoulder, says, "Hey, the fire's above our head." You pivot right then. There's nothing else you could do. At that point in time, I got to look up. We got to take a step back. We got to pepper it. We got to hit the fire above head. We got to make sure it's not on our left or right underneath us because we just rolled into a dangerous scenario where the fire could get behind us and we could become trapped,
Yep.
right? And so in real life, it's the exact same thing. Now, everybody doesn't get this opportunity to go through these things physically. But because I've been through certain things physically, it aids to my mind. And that's the reason why I might make decisions a little bit differently. Mike may be on a different type of, different, I don't want to say a plateau, but a different type of level of thought process because he's done so much studying and application of his studying that he's able to make those same type of moves without having to be under the same type of dangers. See, that's IQ, EQ in its finest, right? Because you can take IQ or EQ and you can use AQ and you can come up with the exact same type of reasoning to move through life. So let me just throw this out there, Mike, and I'm gonna leave this piece with you and hear what you have to say. One of the greatest things I think that a person can do when developing AQ is to use your IQ to prepare. You can't prepare for the death of somebody today. You don't know who that person's going to be. It's hard. But you can prepare for the death of somebody any day.
Mm.
What I mean by that is you can talk with your children. You can have those conversations, those hard conversations. You realize that everybody's not going to live. We all at some point in time are going to meet our destination. When I get to my destination, this is what I'm looking for. I talk to my kids and my wife at least once a year, if not more. I tell them, listen, I intend on living to a certain age. When I get there, nobody's going to cry. Everybody's going to wear white. They're all going to look up and say he did exactly what he wanted to do. And they're going to walk away. They're going to be happy. So I'm always applying that, so I can soften the blow. Because when I leave, somebody's already had that discussion. You can have that discussion, like Mike has said. It's so simple. You can get a life insurance policy. Mike has mentioned this so many times for $5, $10,
Whatever.
$20,
Yeah.
whatever. They got life insurance policies that are like Bentleys, and they got some of them that are like Ford Focus. You can get whatever you want, but it makes it so much easier to adapt when you pass away and you don't have to worry about how do I put my
Amen.
loved one in the
In the
ground.
ground.
You can adapt to relationship difficulties. Don't wait till it goes bad. Mike was just tipping off on this thing about 5-7 minutes ago. Don't wait until it goes bad before you get counseling. Now, most marriages require for you to have 2 to 3 sessions before you get married of marriage counseling. Why stop? That's my question. This is after 26 years of marriage. It's like, why stop? You should probably stay going.
Mm.
Get you a coach, get you a therapist, get you a counselor, get you a pastor, get you a priest, get you somebody, and you and her go in there and drop it like it's hot. Because if you drop it like it's hot, it's like the hot potato game. That's so many things we learned when we were in kindergarten. When you got that hot potato and then someone called out it was hot, you got rid of it because you knew if you got stuck with the hot potato, you're out of the game. Don't get stuck with the hot potato of life by not becoming adaptable while you're young. Go and drop that hot potato in somebody else's lap, somebody that is prepared to cook it and serve it so that you can actually get some carbohydrates and some energy and you can use it for your good versus losing it along the way. Go and talk with somebody. So these are all different things. And same thing with the children. Don't wait to talk with children about sex. Don't wait to talk with them about promiscuity. Don't wait to talk with them about drugs. Don't wait, because you know what? Somebody else is going to drop that dime inside of their mind. And then before you know it, they've already got something that they're thinking about. They've already got a pillar inside of their mind. They've already got a status quo that they want to live up to. They've already developed a mindset around it. And now you're too late. And
Mm.
now instead of being adaptable into that strange and difficult conversation about the birds and the bees, whatever, you're now talking about what you're going to do with the baby that's on the way, what you're going to do with the child that's an alcoholic or that's a drug addict, what you're going to do with the mental health issues that came about because of depression, because we waited. So take your IQ and your EQ and apply it early so that when the day comes that you have to deal with harsh things, you've already you've already seasoned the conversation with grace, with love, with compassion. And now your entrance into this thing is easy. It's simple. You just bring up yesterday. Hey, you remember when we talked about such and such and so and so? Yeah. All right, let's go in a little bit deeper. Makes it so much easier to adapt. So that would be my suggestion right there, Mike, is especially in relationships, is that we take some of these hard things that we put up on the shelf or in the closet
Hmm.
and say it'll never happen to us. And we take them off the shelf, off the closet. Let's get real. Let's start talking about it. Let's put it inside of a family meeting. Let's have that conversation. Let's talk about that finance. Let's talk about what it would feel like, if there was an interruption in our relationship. Let's talk about those things and let's talk about it like it's real, not like it's fake. Let's talk about it like it's real. Let's come up with solutions then so that when the day comes, we've already got the plays inside of our mind. We've already got them, and we can be on the field of struggle, of battle, and we're able to pivot and then pivot and then pivot again until we come back home to our team.
Yeah, yeah, brother. And a real quick disclaimer: don't invite me to funerals where I have to give you money. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to. I'm not
My
donating
man,
I'm coming to eat. I'm coming to celebrate the life and
not
times of
eat,
a.
not eat. You
Yeah,
coming to
yeah,
eat,
yeah.
huh?
I'm coming
That
to eat
that's
and
the
celebrate.
repass, though, right?
Get a
Eat at the
repat.
repass. All right, don't eat at the
I'm
funeral.
I'm coming to celebrate the life of a well lived life of a servant. That's what I'm coming for. I'm coming. I want to laugh. I want to talk about I want to reminisce, and I want to eat good, and I want to hang with the family and give some kind and comforting words, in support of the family. But I'm leaving my wallet at home. Get you some life insurance
Woo!
now. Get you some life insurance now, and make sure that these things are taken care of. So that when I get there, I can just deliver my speech and go home. I'm gonna give you a good speech, but I'm not there to donate. I'm gonna tell you that maybe I'm not there to donate. I appreciate it, and don't come to mine to donate neither. If my family tell you to donate, they taking your money. Don't believe them. They're not. It's not for real. Um, it's a scam, is what they say. If there's a
Fake
GoFundMe
news.
account, yeah, if there's a GoFundMe account from Mike Seville, it's fake news. It's a scam. Do not donate. Do not do any GoFundMe accounts. Maybe I wanted that to be said, but the brother is spot on. Use your IQ, use your EQ. So the IQ portion of it is quite simple, So I don't want people to spend too much time on it. Besides what we spoke about before, start reading, start getting around people who push your thought process, who get you to think. I'm a thinking man. I think we got to get around more thinking people. Be open to being around more thinking people and be a thinking person, because you have the IQ. It's set to be whatever it's set to be. Then you have your EQ. This is something that you're going to be working on all the time. Start to understand it. I have a list of like 50 to 60 different things about myself that I had to define for me. A real quick thought, because it was on my mind today, was talking about being disrespectful and being disrespected. And a lot of us respect people, but we disrespect them because we're disappointed in them. If you can figure out the distinction between that and how in regards to yourself, you will learn to forgive people a lot easier, because you're going to forgive their behaviors, because it's their behaviors that disappoint you, but you feel disrespected by it. So even for someone that you may respect, whether it's your mother, your father, your significant other, your child, or whatever, they disappoint you, and you take it as disrespect. But you really respect these people, because it's hard to be around mothers, fathers, definitely your significant other. You got to have some kind of respect for them. But if you say, listen, not that you disrespected me, and I'm taking it this kind of way, I feel I am disappointed. So I get a chance to take a look at that. So I want you all to really continuously work on these EQs. Take time out, which in time, when I say time, the focus and the effort, in order to figure out who you are, and then figure out, in the context of the situation and the time, like what's the decorum, because the conversation you're going to have, if you understand the decorum, is going to be a lot different than if you don't understand the decorum and you just yelling for everything. Like, do not just be out here yelling for everything. And then life is lifing, guys. That's what y'all tell me. That's what I hear all the time. How's life? Life is lifing. That's the adversity. Start to take all those things into and make the adjustment, learn to pivot. And I'm telling you, life goes off into a different direction. You're going to love it. Someone said you're going to love it here. All right. So the brother's gone. I think this was a lot. There's a lot to chew on within this episode. Next week, I really want to talk about the disrespectful and disappointed. It really took me to a different place this morning. But next week, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. So that's a bonus episode for the mindset series that we've had. If you get a chance, go back and check out the IQ episode. Go check out the EQ episode. This is the AQ episode. Next week, you may get a bonus episode about AI, because I'm not understanding why we're not talking about it. I'm not understanding why the kids aren't talking about it. This is some important stuff that goes beyond these prompts for marketing or these prompts for whatever. It's some crazy stuff that we can take to use to make our life better. So next week, we'll do the bonus section in regards to AI, but go back and check out all of the other things in this mindset series. Other than that, I appreciate you. Thank you for rocking with us today. Go back and check out the episode. Engage. Tell me what you think about it. Give me your opinion, and we'll go from there, man. Peace out, everybody. Love you.